No Guts, No Galaxy is recorded in front of a live studio audience. This is an adult podcast containing adult language. Consider yourself warned. Live from the Outreach Studios around the world, this is a No Guts, No Galaxy podcast. And now, your host, Phil, a.k.a. Sean Lang.
Welcome to the No Guts, No Galaxy podcast number 80. My name is Phil, and I'm your host. It is July 10th, 2013, and my shout-out, it's going to go to David, and I'm going to probably mess up your name. Hodeo? Maybe? Hodeo? Hodeo? I don't know.
I was thinking, how can you mess that up?
Start over.
No. Anyways, it is what it is. How do I know that? Dude, I have asked people on this TeamSpeak 3, how do you pronounce your name? And then they do like completely opposite. They're all like fancy with it. So I've given up on it. It's just, it is what it is.
Well,
anyways, I just want to say, Dave, I just want to say thank you for sending in the care package. Holy crap, man. By the way, we got some photos. This guy sent in literally a whole box full of original unseen Robotech like Macross models. I'm talking like the Crusader, which is very, very rare. The Tomahawk, the, the Glug, the Marauder. Anyways. And I think pretty much Daeron jizzed in his pants when I showed him the pictures and told him what was going to be in there. So, Dave, you did. You were like, "Oh my God, my lance! I'm going to have my lance."
Photographs?
It was disturbing.
Let's
it was
move
on
on to my
TeamSpeak
shout-out,
3.
please.
All right, Daeron, who do you got?
Hey, this is Daeron, a.k.a. Bombadil. My shout-out today also goes to Hodeo, David Hodeo, Hodor, and also Glenn Byram, two people that have sent us amazing, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the gifts. This stuff will be up on our walls and in our webcam vision as well, so you can all see it. And I also want to say a big congratulations to Impaler and the MWO community for such an amazing job with the recent charity event. You guys are freaking awesome.
You guys make me proud.
Yeah, most definitely. And Brennan, who do you got?
Hello, this is Brandon, also known as Patrick Kell, and my shows are going to Mech Specs, MWOG, and Aces.
Go ahead, say it, you whore. Just say it.
Aces of Recruiting.
No, not this time.
You are.
No.
Aces-HQ.com.
And I do want to, of course, just sort of second that Mech Specs, of course, is part of the NGNG network, and we're going to be doing some improvements to our website and forums to cross-promote. They just got a new forums, and the website's almost done, so freaking amazing job, and I'm looking forward for that cross-collaboration going on.
Let's,
but Laura?
Linky-loo to Mech Specs.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Laura, what do you got?
Hi, guys. This is Laura, and my shout-out goes to Impy, who raised $8,271 for the Autism Science Foundation with his 24-hour live stream. Also to the Bodmother. He knows who he is.
I was going to say, I was getting text messages at the beach from Daeron saying, holy crap, we just hit 2,000. Like, a few hours later, 5,000. I was like, holy shit. It was really awesome. So again, great job, MP.
It's terrible. I hate charity.
Yeah, you hated so much you donated.
I know, right?
I didn't know. I didn't donate. My lizard donated.
Yeah, we could tell.
Think
Your
about that
lizard
one.
donated, my beard donated, and Laura's cat suit donated.
Yeah, except that wasn't me.
Beard and cat suit.
WTF, man.
Anyways, guys, welcome to our live studio audience. Appreciate everyone out here. It looks like we got quite a few people, and or whatever else you might be referred to. Anyways, I guess, to everyone else out in the world, our new listeners, whether you're riding a bike, you're drawing mech porn, maybe you're looking at mech porn, I don't know, while drinking coffee in bed, I don't know, whatever you're doing.
Looking at
boxes
mech
of
porn,
fun
that is
stuff to
looking at
send
mech
us.
porn.
Yeah, looking at mech porn while, surrounded by mech porn. Anyways, guys, hey, we ask if you have the ability, go to our website. We've got a tip jar on the right side. Show us some love, and we'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks.
And are you maybe doing a little shopping online? Amazon, Newegg, Tiger Direct, for example? If so, help support the show while shopping for cool stuff online by clicking on the Amazon, Newegg, or Tiger Direct buttons on our website, right side. Scroll down a little bit. It won't add anything to your charge, but it gives NGNG a little kickback. It's a great way to support everything we do if you don't want to or cannot donate directly.
Yeah, I would definitely say make sure to check out those, just click on the links, Amazon, if you're going to be doing shopping or if you're going to be adding stuff to cart and coming back, make sure to use those links. Again, it does help a little bit at a time. And of course, this week, we've got the Catalyst Game Lab sponsorship giveaway. It's week 9. We're going to be giving away the first of, I think, 10 of these. It's a Hex Pack Cities and Roads. So make sure to head over there and, I think it's, all you have to do is register and post up your favorite battle mech weapon system. And that's this week. And the winner of the introductory box set, we sent it out. And someone was asking about this, like, who do we know who the winner is? When I use the random number generator from Google. Whenever someone gets selected, when I close out the thread and lock it, I put in the thread title, I put the winner and their name, so you can see who won it and stuff like that. So again, appreciate everyone who does that, and congratulations to the guy who won it. And that is international. It's not just US, it's worldwide. If you win in Singapore, we're sending it to you. If you win in Canada, unfortunately, we'll send it to you. No, I'm joking. But
Urban combat maps, love it.
Yeah. So next thing up, I just want to sort of hit on this is we put up the faction shirts for pre-order over a month ago, and I know a lot of people are excited about these, but we haven't had quite the sales. Again, we have to meet a minimum to do. So anyways, we're trying to pimp this out. If you haven't got one of these and you'd like to, make sure to do so. Only a week left. They're really, really great quality t-shirts. For those, it's the same vendor we've been using for the past shirts. So hey, if you like these things and you obviously you can rock out with a faction shirt that's one of a kind, make sure to head over there and grab one. Or if you, and by the way, the smalls and adults actually fit kids really well too. I mean, if you've got a son or a daughter that goes out and plays with you with the tabletop, or just like Mech Warrior or big giant stompy robots, they're a great gift. And obviously, as we move closer to the holidays, we'll have some sales of that as well. But just keep that in mind. Do we ship to Europe? Yes, we do. We ship everywhere, worldwide, everywhere. Now, keep in mind, the prices are not set. A lot of people ask us why the prices for shipping is so high. It's actually based on weight. There's nothing we can do, and unfortunately, shipping stuff worldwide, some things just cost more, so just keep that in mind. All right, so tonight we've got Garth Earlham, who always joins us. He's sort of like that uncle who always shows up at the party and no one really invites.
I get to be that uncle.
Drunk uncle.
No, he is.
I thought I was that uncle.
Other drunk uncle.
Okay.
No, I was gonna. Brandon said grandpa, but I mean, I'm just. Nice.
George is creepy uncle.
Anyways, guys.
Me and Garth are going in the basement and drinking.
George is the drunk uncle that looks into the window as you close the door.
Awesome. Anyways, Garth, appreciate you joining us. I was going to say, we were having some fun yesterday during Twitch, and then you were playing with some Germans earlier, I heard, having some fun in Commandos or something about that.
We were doing all trials.
All trials? 8-man drops, trials?
Yeah.
All those crazy Germans, I love them. And of course, today is going to be a roundtable discussion. Some stuff, you guys, I'm going to give you some topics you may want to talk about and touch on. Is obviously the movement system that was implemented last patch. Let's see, what else we got? Project Phoenix. We had the Dragon Slayer. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things. We also had the test server was announced today, which is coming out tomorrow. So there's another topic. And of course, weapon balance and updates and your thoughts and opinions. These are thoughts and for topics that you guys can pick. So what's going to happen right now is I'm going to ask you to X up in chat down below. And we'll just call on you to kick this off. So we'll leave it up to you. So boo, whenever you see it, let's call it.
Step on up. Come on. Somebody's got to have something to say. X up. X up.
Ooh, that name right there.
Versailles.
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 Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Sound it out.
Haha, I am not the only one. So, Versailles?
No, you got your name wrong, dude. It's Versailles.
it's Versailles.
Yeah. You spelled my own name
Let's
wrong.
just move. Let's just move.
You
on
all
to the
sound like Phil right now. Complete idiots. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
and I live in Alabama.
My question is, with all the different mechs that we're putting out and they'll fill different roles, is there a plan for a light support mech?
Light support mech.
Can
Like,
you?
Is that-
like
Is
the
that a mech
Panther,
that supports
the Owens.
lights?
Yeah, it's like, or the Valkyrie. They have long range weapons, it's light, so it's fast and can keep up with other lights, but has some long range.
Not specifically, but that might actually be coming out. Perhaps a variant.
Well, how would that be different from like a Jenner with a PPC, which I already see?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. When you say support, isn't that based on like the weapons and what engine and what armor? I mean, or the Cicada. I mean, isn't that sort of?
I definitely see wanting to see the Panther in the game. It's a great mech. It's iconic. But I feel like we can already make those builds that are essentially light support mechs if they want to.
I guess I'm confused of the term support.
That
for
would be
a specific
that can sit in the background and shoot long range or missiles or something like that as a usual support role instead of a scout, right?
Well, any of them can do that though. That's the thing is, but when another light that's set up to kill other lights comes around, then they're screwed. So I guess what I'm saying is the term use. What are your guys' thoughts out there? X up if you have ideas about support mechs or the terms or use X up and let's call them Boo.
Yeah, Henry Pride.
Thank you. Not directly to that question, I have had another one.
Okay. Well, X up if you have a question about the terms, support, and
let's talk
stuff
about
like that.
This question, Henry, will come right back to you. So, Boo, don't forget Henry.
Okay.
He'll be the next
Yeah,
question.
I won't forget Henry. I think Dark Logic. Yeah, Dark Logic. Come on, unmute.
I saw him unmute, and then he muted back up. There he is. Come on.
Hey, Dark. You got a comment regarding support light mechs? Or light support mechs?
Make sure your mic's not muted. Yeah.
I thought.
All right. Who was next? Sorry, Dark. If you can get that fixed, we'll take your question. Who is next, Boo?
Verbosity.
Verbosity. How's it going,
Verbosity.
man?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Versailles.
Hello there. I always took the concept of a support mech. So a light support mech would be a mech that supported lights. A heavy support mech would be a mech that supported heavies. So look, to me, the concept of a light support mech would be something like a Blackjack, which is doing very, very well. And we've got the Quick Draw doing that for sort of heavy mechs. Is there, do we have something like that for, say, assault mechs?
So are you saying like a light support mech is basically a light killer? So if the light mechs get a light mech on them, then this light support mech comes in and saves the friendly light mech?
Yeah, it's a mech to support so a light support is something that supports lights. A heavy support is something that supports heavies, sort of thing. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that was my taking of the meaning.
Well, my feeling with this is that while the Panther would be a nice mech to have included in MWO, the setups are there. If people want to create those kinds of builds, whether it be with a light mech or a medium mech that goes fast, then the options are there. Phil, you feel differently?
I'm just sort of. I think the concept needs to sort of be talked about. Okay, so like every single mech that comes out, like I hear the term support and attack in like a tank or whatever, and I think those are good terms to use, but I think they have to be defined a little bit because like, okay, if you're in a light or medium heavier assault and you take all close range weapons, I've like let's take the Jaeger. It's a support mech. Well, if it has dual AC-20s or short to medium range weapons, is it a support? Well, it depends. Is it support for another mech to keep like let's say you have an LRM boat? Yeah, is it a wingman? Is it set up? So I guess you got to sort of look like that. Are you a single mech as far as setup, like you don't rely on anybody else to watch your back and you can go out?
To me, the definition of support mech is something that sits behind the lines and either snipes or does LRMs or something.
So you're talking about fire support, you're talking about fire support, not necessarily a supporting role. Like I'm here to keep other mechs off of these fire support mechs.
To me, that's more of like a light killer or a medium killer or whatever. Mechs that are built to take out those mechs.
I got some chime in if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a trebuchet that has the an engine in it that makes me do like 130. And it's set up just to kill lights, and I hang around the bigger mechs, so when the light comes in, I just come in, streak them, and large laser them to death, and chase them on.
Scout killer.
Yeah, and I think Short Painter just said it right. He said LRM boats need short-range support. So it's one of those things where I feel like the terms are thrown around there a lot, but it's sort of there's no clear definition of what that is, and maybe there is someone out there, and I'd love for someone to like sit down and put some thought, maybe on the forums or over at NGNG, like these terms being thrown out, like fire support. What does a fire support mean? Is there any criteria or anything like that? But I do think that there are builds that work really well when they're working in conjunction with other builds, like something with AC2s, like my Blackjack, my BJ1. It works really well with working with other long-range setups, or another mech that can help, get a Raven off my ass, or a Commando, or in case it's a Gen or, a Spider or something like that. So I think there are some, classifications, these wordings that can be used. But I think it's a good thing to think about. All right, I think we got Henry Pride. Go to unmute, ask away.
Hey, so my question would be, will there be in the future faster mechs than 150? Because if I remember back in the closed beta, when there wasn't the engine rating on the mechs, we had a Commando with 200 kilometers per hour. And I want to know, will this occur again? Or what will be the cap? What is the possibility? And will we then see the lag shield again? What we had before the mechs were fast.
Garth?
I don't think so for now. The main problem is the engine itself. We might have mask that puts you above it, but I don't think we're going to have mechs that go faster. Not at this point.
Now, is that... I don't...
Engine limitation.
Do you know if that is a engine, like CryEngine limitation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a CryEngine thing.
Okay, so CryEngine, networking. I do know for, what the post was said, Henry, was way back when, and there's others here that can, you guys can confirm this or give me more info, but they were basically saying that back when you had the Commandos and Spiders and stuff that could go that fast, they were creating so much latency issues that it was basically network to where they, like you were calling it, lag shield, and that's, you couldn't hit them. Now, back in closed beta, you could run into them, and that was the only way they pretty much died really quick. Yeah, because let's talk about mechs that can go over that 150 kph. I mean, you got to think the Fire Moth, the clan mech, obviously the Mongoose. You can imagine upgrading the engine and stuff like that. I guess that's an answer to your question.
Yes, of course. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right, who's up next, Boo?
Zomboid.
Oh, Zomboid.
How are you guys?
What's up, Zom?
Zomboid.
Not much.
Hello.
I'm pretty sure it's probably been brought to your attention a few times, Garth, but unfortunately I haven't been around for a while. There was recently a post put up by a gentleman known as Homeless Bill onto the forums, and he created what, in my opinion, and a lot of people that I've talked to, a nice way to balance weapons, balance boating, and balance the pinpoint damage.
Hey, Zomboid, can you do me a favor real quick?
Yeah, mate.
Can you turn off your TeamSpeak 3 notifications? Go up to self, deactivate.
Yes, certainly, mate.
Thank you.
There we go. So he recently, he put up this post that basically a solution, which is probably the best solution I've seen so far to this problem of mass alpha to 1 point of damage on a mech. It's a massive read, and I know a lot of people probably brushed over it because of how big a read it is. It also would be a lot of work initially to implement, but once implemented, it looks like it would be a very good and simple maintenance to it, and easy to rebalance mechs when clans come out. Another way to balance clans, you'd be able to make them a little bit simpler to you can make them obviously better at targeting than the inner sphere mechs. I don't know if you guys have read it, but if you have, would you be able to comment on that for me, please, mate?
Actually,
I read it. I sent it forward to design. I don't know if they've read it yet, though. I hope they have.
Actually, it's sort of funny. I was talking to Homeless Bill last night. I read over the article. It took me a little bit to read over. So basically, it boils down to, it is a lengthy post. It is very detailed. And what Homeless Bill is suggesting is multiple layers of changes, but they're not like radical changes. And someone sort of hit it right on the nail on the head, which was it translates into a blooming reticle, if you will. And what that means is it's it changes two things. It changes weapon accuracy when you fire over groups over a certain level. So what this means is, let's take the AC-20. Each weapon gets a certain value, and when that value reaches 100, you, like for instance, AC-20 is 100, like a large laser would be 50, or a certain value. And when you group fire these weapons, if it's at 100 or below, you have no accuracy penalty. So like your little reticle in the middle would be the same. But when you cross over that 100 threshold, let's say you fire 2 AC-20s, now the AC-20 has a number of 100 each. If you dual fire that, now you have a 200 penalty, if that makes sense. And so your reticle would bloom up a little bit. And obviously, all weapons have a corresponding number. I think it's a TLC or TCL. I think it's TCL number. So sort of like recoil, if you guys are familiar with a lot of like first-person shooters, when you like sort of fire and you have a recoil, but instead of it like kicking upwards or kicking up and back, it's your reticle would expand a little bit. Weapon bloom, basically. And so it adds a little bit of variability to the reticle, and you would still hit your target, but you can imagine if you're at really long distances, let's take PPC stock or something shooting over X amount of the longer range you're at, so the less accurate you would be, you may or may not hit. But that being said, what it does is it forces you to be sort of mindful of firing weapons in groups that can handle the accuracy. And actually, I'm going to have him probably on next week's podcast to sort of talk about this in general. The one thing about it all, though, is what the designers at PGI are thinking when it comes to weapons. Paul came back from vacation on July 2nd, and he said that it's his primary focus. Like, they're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So I want to reach out to Paul and sit down and if he's able to talk about what his plans are. Because it's a big deal. Now, it does implement a cone of fire system, but it's not ridiculous like World of Tanks. For those that have played World of Tanks, when you start moving, that reticle gets very, very large, and you don't really know where the round is going per se. What he's suggesting is that reticle box, that's where the limits would be. So you can still hit, but you may not be pinpoint accurate if you still alpha fire all of your weapon systems, if that makes... I mean, Zomwood, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I quite like it. I thought the concept of forcing people to actually play a mech as it's written about in the books, as it even like to a bad reference is going back to the tabletop game, I think, for this, but it's nice because it means you're having to control your fire, you're having to use more tactical thinking. I honestly do get sick in some games of popping up going, oh look, Stalker, 6 PPCs, oh yeah, there it is. I know what's going to happen. If he hits me direct on, there's a good chance if I'm in a smaller mech, I'm dead. And I find some of these bow team builds that pinpoint alpha, they'll still be able to do it. They'll just have to be smart how they do it, and I think that's a very good way to balance the game, and I think it would bring a lot more fun back in. And once people got used to it, I know it would probably create rage early, but once people got used to it, I think people would find it to be a much more balanced and much more fun game out of it. Because I've had a couple of games recently with against the first BBR and a couple of other guys where it felt, even though that wasn't there, it felt more like that it ended up being a proper brawl. I haven't had games like this since God knows how long. And we had a game that I think we brawled for 7 minutes as teams counter-punched, and I think it would bring all of that back in. And to tell you what, I haven't had so much fun in this game, except for those matches. It was so good.
Now, has anybody else in the audience read this entire article and like to pipe in here what their thoughts on? I see a lot of people out there talking about it, but has anybody actually read all the way through this and has an opinion? I'd like to hear it now. Someone says, let's not add dice to the game. I think you got to understand what he was trying to go for. Is like right now, and Deep Beep, if you want to unmute. I think what he was proposing is a system that leads to not necessarily randomness. It's not a roll of the die, but what happens is when you're firing massive amounts of weapons and you cross over this threshold, again, a value, that reticle would expand just a little bit inside that box. And it's not necessarily adding randomness. I mean, if your crosshair is on the target, you're still going to hit. It's just not pinpoint accurate to where, hey, you're aiming for the right torso to knock out that mech with 4 or 5 large lasers or something like that. Well, now you just sort of spread the damage over the target instead of just pinpoint accurate. So, DP?
Yeah, I read the whole thing, and it's a good idea, and I liked how Bill kind of linked it back to canon and how you're overloading your targeting computer when you're firing everything at once. But I don't think it's a be-all, end-all to the weapons balancing. It's a good starting point, and I really hope the devs will look at it. The main thing I'm worried about with his idea is that it might be an overload of information on the player, and you don't really want to do that, especially with new players who, like, one of the examples he used was like a typical first-person shooter where, typically your first round that you fire is on target, and then you suffer from recoil for any rounds after that. And most players kind of get a feel for that, such as old Counter-Strike 1.6. Every weapon had a specific recoil pattern that skilled players would learn, and they could aim accordingly to compensate for that recoil. Or most shooters have like crosshair sway whenever you're zoomed in with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of an intuitive, okay, I'm moving while sniped in, so I know I'm not going to be entirely accurate. And I think by having a blooming reticle, when you fire all your weapons, players will kind of figure out very quickly that they're not being extremely accurate.
Well, I was gonna say here, just to clarify too, it would basically put a value on every single weapon, so you can fire every single weapon once, and there's no bloom. So, for instance, let's just say each medium laser has a number of 25. You can fire 4 of them in a group, and there's no bloom, so it's pinpoint accurate. So, same thing. If you fire 1 AC-20, it's pinpoint accurate. Now, if you fire, 3 PPCs. Now you're at a value, let's say each one is 50, now you're at 150 TCL value, and so it'd push you over and it would bloom a little bit. And I think that's what you need to understand is, like, if you fire 1 medium laser, there's not going to be any like bloom reticle, and that's what he's proposing. Is it's when you're grouping weapons and you're firing a large majority of weapons, that's when it would be not necessarily a penalty per se, but that's when your targeting computer gets overloaded, and it sort of makes sense. But carry on, Crow. You want to pipe in here?
Yeah, I went ahead and read the whole article, and I actually like it. Obviously, it'll probably need some tweaks down the line, but it's a very legitimate system, very easy way to go about it, and I see a lot of the potential to sort of do that point-blank brawl, splattering with all your guns, and then you got the advantage of taking that maybe singular weapon and putting it pinpoint accurate where you want it to. And when you get that kind of diversity, I mean, I'm all about that.
Yeah, from what I understood, it would be like, if PPCs are 50, then large lasers would probably be in. He's got the numbers attached to it, but again, this is just a system that he's proposing. Now, at the end of the day, though, does it fall in line with what Paul and Brian see over at Piranha Games, and is that the route they're going? But the reason why this topic is always brought up is recently a lot of people use the term metagame, which technically that's just what gamers are sort of labeled, like what happens in game for competitive play. But it comes down to like PPCs, ERPPCs are sort of the go-to weapon in AV8 competitive play. Now, I'm a pubber. I don't play competitive play, so I see a variety of weapon systems being used in regular random matches. But from the competitive players that are doing these leagues and going on right now, Run Hot or Die and all the others, MW Arena and stuff, what they're saying is basically it's the go-to weapon, and all you see is high volley damage, ERPPCs. That's all they're rolling. And it works at long range, it works at short range. And so that's what that's why Bill basically wrote this up, is to solve it. And he was what I like about Bill's system is he was saying, do not worry about the damage of the weapons, don't worry about the heat of the weapons, don't worry about, the distance or anything. Basically what he was saying is, let's look at the system, and would this system work in the game currently and in future when you're introducing the clans. Garth, I know you read the forums constantly, you keep in touch with, all the other social media, Facebook and Reddit and stuff. Do you have any thoughts on this topic in general?
I think there's a lot of, how would I put this? There's a lot of issues that sort of obfuscate the real problem. I think the real problem right now with the PVCs is not heat and it's not accuracy, it's that it instant hits. I think that's the major problem, is that you press fire, it hits. So really, you don't have to be that good at aiming, because you just aim at them and hit it. But you don't see a ton of people running around with Gauss. You do see it, but it's not nearly as much. And the reason is it's harder to hit with. They're very slow in comparison. So I'd rather slow the speed, also increase heat for PVCs and whatnot. But I think it would help the pinpoint aspect to just not have them instantly hit like that.
I was going to say, but weight and size of the Gauss, though, you can only have two Gauss on any mech right now that's viable. You can't have 3, whereas you've got a lot of energy based,
it's true, yeah. The size is
mechs.
a big deal too, right? Because it's
that and
only
the
7
explosions.
tons.
The
But
other thing
go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing about it though was it does balance back to weapons that don't produce much heat, like the Gauss rifle, like we'll go to the AC-20, because technically, you can fire those for a fair while before you overheat if you build your mech right. It tailors back to the ballistic weapons as well as the energy, which was nice. And for those that were saying recoil, it's more messing with the convergence system on the mech. That's not really what you'd call recoil, it's just playing around with the convergence.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned convergence. Me and Bill talked about this, but the term is sort of incorrect when used with MWO. And what I mean by this is, convergence is what the whole premise is, if you have weapons on your arms and if you have a weapon under your torso, and you set the convergence of they converge at a certain point, 500 meters. That's when the streams cross, if you will. Some Ghostbuster stuff there. Well, right now there is no convergence. The convergence is wherever your reticle is pointing. So as far as being able to set your convergence, it's not like the streams always meet at wherever those reticles are. So the term convergence,
in War Thunder, you can set your weapons convergence.
Exactly. Yes. And so the term convergence is sort of it's weird because it's just set where you aim. There is no it's not like you're gonna miss per se, unless they're point blank range and you're firing something that's low slung on your arms and you hit their legs or something. But anyways, I know a few other people. I think Verbosity was Xing up to queue in here.
Apologies, I didn't expect you to do that. I really like the system that you're talking about. I think the PPCs are good at a lot of ranges, and at the longer ranges, heat isn't quite so much of an issue. You go over a hill, you fire the PPCs, you retreat. Heat's not an issue at 500, 600, 700 meters. When you get up close, heat becomes an issue, and if you've got this convergence system, the convergence isn't going to be an issue. So I really like this as a system, because as a concept, because you're removing the so-called PPC meta, because people can't snipe in the same way, while still preserving what is good about the heat system.
Well, I think what Homeless Bill and he was stating is you can still snipe. You can still be smart with 4 PPCs or 6 if someone takes a stalker or something like that. But it's basically that you could fire a group of 2, wait that 1 second, fire in the next group of 2, wait and so he was basically saying is it sort of forces the player just to be smarter with how they do. And you can still alpha fire, you can still fire all of your weapons, but if it's at a distance, you're probably gonna either miss or spread the damage around, or if you're point blank range, you can still hit. So anyways, what other people out there, what are your thoughts on the this idea? What are your thoughts on the current And like I said, the one thing I like about this entire thing is he's not proposing any changes to the weapons. I think what you do is you implement the system, or you implement a change to the overall system, and then you make changes individually to the weapons to bring them into it. Let's see, who do we got here? Equinox?
Yep, I think that's the right way with the weapons, that they're not as precisely as they extended, but the hard points is still there. You get like for a huge mech, you got only 3 hit points, so even if the recoil, let's call it recoil, is there, you still hit the, let's say, the center torso or the left or the right torso, so the damage, the pinpoint damage is still there. I don't know if the CryEngine is able to put in like more hit zones, but that would at the end solve maybe the problem if you get like more hit points on the torso if you spread the weapon.
All right, and what about you? Someone else next up, Nomk. I think I pronounced that Nomk. Nomk.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I read the whole article. I thought what really stood out to me was just bringing up the fact that how whenever clan mechs do come out, with like the whole hard points coming out with, you know, assaults being able to rock like 2 Gosses along with PPC, what really, you know, got me, because I mean, these mechs are going to come out, and you know, with especially the clan weapons, with the smaller, you know, points and all that, it's just, you almost have to put something in with that, because people are just going to come up with some epic builds. They're just going to be like 1-shot, 1 kills. I mean, yeah, that's what everybody's saying in chat.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people are just, you know, they're eager to know is, and hopefully we can have Paul on the show soon to talk about this. And obviously, you know, he said it himself, it's priority, is to say right now, and you guys out there, X up if you agree with this statement, is it's not necessarily the weapons, but it's the fact that you can put so much damage in a volley in 1 hit onto target. And so when and I think everyone is Xing up there, so if that's the case, it comes down to, well, that's accuracy, right? And mouse is pinpoint accurate, and with that, now we all assume if you're point blank range and you fire all of your weapons, it would be pretty ridiculous for you to miss. Totally understand. So that's why like a lot of people were like against like a cone of fire system. But I think if you read over what he's promoting or is suggesting is with that little like targeting box, your reticle, that little, you know, dot of a reticle in the middle, that's how big it could be at any given time. But what I'm interested in is just to see where PGI wants to take this, because it is a problem. I wouldn't say it's like you know, the sky is falling, but I will say it's something they definitely want to address, because as you guys see, you hop in 8v8s or 12v12, that it's only going to get worse as it goes along. You know, someone posted up as soon as the Battlemaster stats came out, 7 PPC Battlemaster. You know, you may die, but you can see where, but you know, boating isn't an issue. It's the pinpoint accuracy of high volley damage builds.
We have this discussion so many times. I still think it's just the PPC. Nobody's complaining about AC-10 boats.
It's true. But why is it PPCs?
No, I think it's across the board, and the reason I say this is,
who's complaining about large laser boats?
It's because PPCs are the go-to thing. That's why. If PPCs were in line with everything else, the same thing happened.
So fix a PPC, everything's fixed.
You're still going to have an issue with high volley builds. Even if PPC was brought into it, you're still going to have the same issue, guys. Like, and that's what he's suggesting. That is what he's suggesting when he says, even if you brought PPCs in line, you're still going to have builds that bring high amounts of volley damage.
PPC is the only thing you can fit like that onto one mech. There's nothing else you can do that with.
Dual Gauss and dual AC-20s, same difference, in my opinion.
Well, dual Gauss explodes and AC-20s have a short range.
Can you do something about that?
Honestly, the thing I liked most about the system, guys, was To me, implementing this system would end up building balanced builds. You'll see mechs that can do things at every range, like in the proper universe, and that was what got me the most. I think you'd see mechs again and not boats.
And with this, one thing you have to look is it's sort of like fixing the issue altogether from here forward, or just putting a band-aid on it. And I feel like, yes, if you brought PPCs in line, yes, it would fix the PPC problem. But competitive players will always min-max. I mean, it's a normal, it's a given. You expect people to do that.
I totally understand that, but you physically cannot put 4 to 6 AC-10s on a mech, so you're not going to have that problem.
No, but you could shove 6 SRM6s.
Yeah, yes, and so? This is, see, Daeron, you're looking at like one thing. This would address...
the thing that's broken.
The PPCs aren't broken. It's the pinpoint accuracy that's the issue here. And everyone was talking about accuracy a minute ago that X'd up.
Yeah, the 10, 15 people X'd up.
With respect to PPCs.
Well, anybody else got opinions? Those we haven't heard from? Let's see, I've got Omigir.
I just want to say to Daeron that, in the future we will have mechs that can fit 4 AC-10s on them and other huge amounts of weapons that could then be boated like PPCs now. Just because we don't have it at the moment doesn't mean that they won't come in the future.
Certainly, but the balance will change in the future, will it not?
If they make changes to the balance, yes. But the thing is that you guys are talking about what can we fix at the moment instead of why can we put in a balance mechanism that'll last through the whole game.
Yeah, I'm totally not against this, even though I do this, I take the devil's side every once in a while to just argue with Phil, but I'm not against trying this. I think that it's a possible solution, and if it fixes it, awesome. And, I'm totally a proponent for more balanced mechs that are, have stuff for short range, long range, whatever, different types of maps. So I'm not against this, I'm just arguing the other point.
Draconian, Draco
Before that, I gotta go.
Hey, yeah, Garth's gotta go.
I'm sorry, guys, but it was fun talking about this.
Garth, see you tomorrow.
Adios, senor.
Stay classy, everyone.
Later.
Draco.
Okay. About the PPC balancing thing, I like the accuracy idea, but I kind of wondered. It's a direct fire support weapon, sort of like a Gauss in comparison. So I'm kind of wondering, why not just make it a little bit different from a Gauss and say that it does like a diminishing splash damage or something like that?
No, I think that's in line. I think what we're talking about in general is Omigir just said it correct, is you're just looking at one aspect when what Bill and some of the others, and Bill even admitted this. His idea, he was like, it's not the end all be all, but what he's saying is that sort of thought, having that discussion. So what you can change the splash, you can change the effects. I mentioned this a few podcasts ago, like make it a duration weapon, or Daeron brought up the splash damage and stuff like that. But it's still the fact that you have an underlying issue of high volley damage builds, and like Omi pointed out, and Laura, there are builds right now that don't necessarily have to do with anything with PPCs that can still do that high volley pinpoint accuracy damage. And so it's looking at that in itself. How do you not negate it, but how do you quell it? How do you detour the use of it, or at least if someone does want to use high volley builds and they alpha, that it's not as pinpoint accurate. And I think that's the thing. Foxhound, X-Up.
Yeah, my experience from other games is that when there's a chance to abuse a game mechanic, they will do it. Especially in competitive gaming, when everybody's looking for the extra edge to be the one a little bit more sharper than the other guy on the other team. So they have to look for a universal solution, not only the PPCs. I know it's annoying to get blasted away by 6 ER PPCs over a range of 1500 meters at the beginning of the game, where my torsos are blown away. But I think there's a certain amount of solutions for that, but they have to do something about that quick before the launch of the game.
Titan, go back to you
Fully
real quick.
agree with that.
Hi, me?
Yeah, go ahead, Titan.
Okay, not to start any fights or anything, but I have to say I kind of agree with Bumbaldi.
All right, now we're going to have a fight over that.
But here's the reasoning, though. I think that PPCs are the biggest problem because, like, even boating with, like, AC-10s was an example. Those are
Hey, Titan, can you do me a favor real quick? Turn off your sounds.
Sure, how do I do that?
Go up to Self, up top on TSC. Go to Sound Pack, and sound's deactivated.
While we're at it, anybody else that's going to X up or want to talk, please do that now as well.
Sure, is that better?
Yes.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Okay, so basically with AC-10s, you have to add the ammo with them as well. And the thing with PPCs, the problem now is they're such long range and the projectile speed is super fast. So, like, and you can boat like 3 to 4 up to 6 with those stalkers. I think that's the biggest problem.
Again, Titan, and don't take this. What we were just talking about is what Homeless Bill proposed is that you can still do those builds, but what he's saying is, and you were just saying, is that the PPC, that it's fast, it's a like a ballistic weapon, which it is behind the scenes, and it does damage right then. What he's saying is you can still take those and you can still fire, but if you do so more than like 2 PPCs or 3 PPCs at a time, you will have a penalty, and what that penalty is that it's a blooming reticle, which means you know at distances like 800 plus meters you may not hit with all there. So what he's suggesting is a system that not only addresses PPCs but addresses everything. Now I still do think PPCs would still need to be tweaked. I think all weapons would need to be tweaked if they do this big of a change.
Yeah,
but
that is, it would have to be a blanket tweak on everything, because people are thinking right now, well, don't fucking nerf my medium lasers or don't nerf my AC-5s.
It would be a huge change. Now that's a question out there. Is that a big? Would that be something that Paul or Brian would be willing to do? Is such a huge change to the game, and of course the mechanic, because you're introducing something big and new. So
to break it down, from my perspective, it seems like, okay, I'm sitting here saying just fix the PPCs. Now, the argument against that is that the clan mechs are going to come out and then people will be able to boat AC-10s or whatever. And so that's why just fixing the PPCs won't work, correct?
I understand the system. Like it's just like Counter-Strike is an example. You shoot a bunch of times, your crosshairs widen way up, and it's really hard to hit stuff. And then you have each weapon has a different level of how much spread you'll get. I get that point of it, but the current game and meta, I'm just saying the PPCs are the biggest problem. So I understand that, but that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I comment?
Yes.
One thing, like with PPCs, I've switched to many different builds. Is you guys did help balance a lot of you guys. I don't know if you've run PPC boats or not. Is that they do generate a lot of heat, and they're actually a lot harder to hit a moving target than people realize. Like, there is some delay; it's not instantaneous like with lasers. So one thing more like a projectile weapon. So it is not like an easy shot. It does take a lot of skill to shoot a person across the entire map when they're moving, and so there's a lot of skill involved too. So some skilled players that are blowing people out of the water, it's a little cruel to just hit them hard. But yes, there is a lot of PPC boats, and they do a lot of damage right off. But the same point is that they also almost instantly overheat. Like if you have a Highlander with 4 ER PPCs, you have 2 shots max, and you're sitting there listening to music as you wait for yourself to actually reactivate and fire, or override and explode.
Spud Buddy, do you have something with that?
What I'd like to do here to wrap up this conversation is just let them say stuff. We don't need to react or comment on it. Just let people speak their mind. A few people now.
Go ahead, Spud.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, do you guys ever plan on doing anything with SRMs? right now they're pulling 1.5 damage per missile. I mean, as terms of tonnage per damage efficiency, they're like pure crap compared to mediums.
Well,
Like,
we're
given,
not
like-
we're not devs, so we can't do. Crap.
Yeah, we're not
They're
PGI.
kind of hardpoint starved.
Yeah, you
Like,
kinda
there's
miss
always
the
less
dev.
missiles than energy, and they're less efficient than mediums. I figure, as on almost every robot in the game, there's less missiles than laser based. It just makes sense that they'd be doing more. For sure.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're not PGI. We're not going to do anything with the SRMs except for use them. But I do know that not as much as PPCs, but people are talking amongst the PGI staff about SRMs. So they're being looked at least, but we have no clue as far as NGNG what they're going to do about it.
Okay, Marcus Rowland, go ahead and unmute.
I personally completely agree with the fact that this system, like a system like this, should be put in place. I do like this particular one; it looks really nice. But I think before PGI even looks at a system like this, I think that they have to fix all of the issues with the weapons, or else they're just going to have to keep remodifying every time they make a fix. You take a look at ERPPCs, which people are boating. We're having problems with hitting things because the host state rewind, ever since the patch, is not working quite right. They're having issues with the fact that if you take a single ERPPC into the training grounds or into a fight, shoot somebody with it, it doesn't always deal 10 damage. Sometimes it deals 8 damage, which shouldn't happen if it's inside its range. SRMs are black holing damage all over the place if you put Artemis on. I think these types of fixes need to be put in place before they look at doing a system like this, or else they're just going to look at ending up having to revamp the whole thing again.
Okay. Again, we're just moving on to the next person. Das Omen, do you got anything?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. You guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Well, I've been here since closed beta. A lot of you guys have too. PPCs, I see them as, yeah, it's kind of an issue, but we've had this issue before. It's not just been with PPCs. I don't know if any of you guys remember their old musket builds with the large pulse lasers or anything else like that. You know, you fire once, whatever you're pointing at, it's dead no matter the range, and PPC is just the next flavor of the day to me. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit annoying at the moment, especially when I'm in my spider flying around and then blam, dead. But it's a little bit bigger than just PPCs. You can do this with anything.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I would, not to jump in here and be the spotlight, but that's what I was saying is there's ultimately something wrong with the system, not necessarily the particular weapons, because whatever it is, it's always been small lasers in the past, small pulse lasers, medium pulse lasers, the launch back. I mean, there's always the flavor of the month. So what ultimately is the issue? And it's the accuracy. But next person, let's see, who do we got?
Let's get Death Maggot in.
Death Maggot. Maggots of death.
What's up, guys? I guess it's an interesting idea that I was just reading the article, but I guess the current problem I see is not necessarily with boating, it's with the heat management. And it seems that the damage they introduced is not really high enough, and it's not really directed to the problem. It seems like if the actual damage went directly to your heat sinks, and let's say you overheat over 120% and you lose a couple of heat sinks, that will definitely stop you from shooting again.
Oh, most definitely.
Damage.
No, I remember playing MechWarrior Living Legends, and I remember playing my Shadowcat, and I was pushing heat so much that I lost like almost all my heat sinks. And so I had to mentally decide, fire Gauss or wait a few more seconds and fire my ERPPC. And then I'd fire and then be like, okay, well, now I've got to wait a little bit longer. But
I didn't finish reading the whole article, but how does he account for the fact, I mean, you're instantly choosing how many you're going to shoot, so does your reticle take a second to adjust, or is it instantly showing several different sizes, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things. Again, Bill was just proposing an idea, guys, and I was talking to him literally last night, and he was like,
he is homeless.
He was like, my idea is not the end all be all. He was like, I'm just proposing this. It may not go anywhere, and I'm not going to be mad about that. He was just proposing a well thought out, prepared thing. Now, at the end of the day, we do need to hear from Paul and Brian about this and what are their thoughts, and that's what's really important. And look, if they read this article and they take one thing out of it and implement it in a game, just one thing, it could be one thing, that's okay. But there's so many different opinions out there that I think sometimes it's tough for us to suck up. But like, I may have an opinion, but that doesn't mean it's right, or it may not fit into their overall design. But it's the fact that there are so many different opinions that would work and will adjust. But the underlying thing is, it's not the weapons. It's the weapon mechanic. It's the system behind it that needs to be looked at. And I think, pretty much everyone's in agreement. Yes, if PPCs were fixed, as far as brought down a little bit, maybe they'd be skewed and wouldn't be used as much. But like others have pointed out, it's just the flavor of the month. Someone, somewhere, would come out with something else, and it would be the next best thing to roll onto. But let's go ahead and move on. And there are a few things that I want to touch on and get your guys' opinions, hopefully before we can get out of here. But we've got obviously the battle mech movement behavior. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I found it challenging, I guess, if you will, because like I feel like there's some hills I'm like, oh yeah, it's just a little hill that I should be able to walk over, and the next thing I'm stuck or I have to walk around. I feel like it's a step in the right direction, but I feel like it definitely needs to be adjusted. Now granted, not to be too harsh and critical, it just came out, and with everything needs adjustments. But what are your guys' thoughts out there? I want to hear from someone I haven't heard from. Let's see.
Keep this less discussion and more just hearing from them. I want to hear their viewpoints.
Someone who hasn't next up, but I want to hear his opinion. Blue Santa, unmute and talk. Do it, Zach. Do it now.
Well, I'm honored, Phil.
So the movement mechanic, what are your thoughts?
I believe that you stop much too quickly, and that I would like to see it also affect you, that you speed up going down hills, and especially slow down in water.
Okay.
Now, the water part they're implementing at some point.
Sorry, you guys spoke over each other.
Yeah, I know they've said that they would, if this goes well, that they would like to implement it for water as well.
You know
what did you say?
Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing, we could definitely ask them. But one thing I've seen, and I'm going to ask you guys, is we're so used to being able to run up anything, and I think that's affected me too. I'm like, oh, well, I should be able to run up that. But let's see who else. I've got both thrower. Go ahead and unmute and ask away.
I really like the new change. For example, with the new mech, the Victor, which has jump jets, it is so much fun to actually be able to use that to your advantage, to attack or to retreat. So I have to say I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. It makes, choosing a mech with jump jets or without, a tactical decision.
All right, let's see who else.
And I have to say the lack of jump jets on Atlases and Stalkers and so forth makes for some pretty funny matches on Canyon Network.
Speed and maneuverability. Hell's Dog, what you got?
I am unmuted, aren't I? Yeah. With the assault mechs and the lights, I would like to see torque, to be honest. I mean, you can run up a hill in a light, which is fair enough. Well, I think that should be done at speed, and if you're going at a slower speed, you shouldn't make it. And with the assaults, I think that they should hit a steep hill, be slowed down to an almost a stop, but be able to slug through it and get up it.
Okay, so you'd be like, it's one of those things where I'm in an Atlas, I'm going 64 kph. Yes, I'm slowed down to 5 kph, but I should be slow. If a light
shift
can
into
run
first.
Up it, yeah, you should be able to slowly trudge through it and get up.
Really? Well, they've got a bigger engine, so they've got more torque. It's like a lorry in real life, really. A big truck is going to make it up a hill slow, but it's going to get up it.
Slow
where
as fuck,
sports
but it'll get up
car
there.
Without a road.
Well, we're talking about mechs.
It's gonna off-road up a hill.
What's a
it's a mech, man. It's got feet. It's got a computer. I mean, come on, really? Really? Kalos Thex, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to chime in here I'm going to support the last guy and say I think even an Atlas should still be able to climb up a hill at a very, very tiny speed. So, I mean, because if you can stand up, you can put your foot down and stand up, you should be able to climb up a hill, I would think.
Now, when you guys say hills, you're saying that if it's like 80, 90 degrees, no mech should be able to run up, but if it's something like a 30 or 40, whatever, if the light mechs can run up it, no issue, then just slow down the assaults.
I would think that you should never actually completely 100% be stymied and stop. You should be able to just crawl forward at a fraction of even 1 mile an hour.
I think right now the bugs in the system are skewing our opinions of it. Like if they fix those things, we won't be getting hung up on shit that you can't even see. You know, like I think that'll fix a lot of things and make it a little bit easier to get a big picture on it.
Well, it's also, I was thinking because of the mechs with the jump jets, you get stymied, you stop, you jump, you go straight up, come right back to where you started.
I hate it.
Even if you had that fraction of an inch forward movement, at least you'd be able to get up the hill, right?
Yeah. I hear you there. I was jumping around in a Jenner last night. Yeah, me and a Jenner.
You jumped onto a hill you couldn't run up, and then you expected to be.
If you don't have forward, there's basically no forward momentum with your jump jets. So
you're not
before
supposed
there
to
was
have forward momentum with your jump jets.
Well, the problem is you're getting
if
stuck
you hit a
on
hill,
bullshit.
You stop.
Yeah.
If you jumped on the bullshit, you
you'll
weren't
jump
able to
straight
climb
up,
anyway.
come
Why
right
do you
back to where you
expect
started.
to continue forward?
Hey, I'm saying that mechs with hands should be able to rock climb.
All right, let's see. We've got one last thing. Verbosity, go and unmute and go ahead and talk.
What I want to do. Go ahead.
Sorry. I like the idea of the mechs being able to climb up steep inclines. I think there's a limit to that, although I can't see an Atlas going for handholds and stuff like that. I think there should be a limit to that. Certainly there's issues with it at the moment. Mechs are getting stuck on tiny little rocks.
Exactly.
That's the big issue with it. Apart from that, I think it's a really, really good thing. I think it's mechs that can jump should be able to go places. The mechs that can't jump can't. Tourmaline's a great example of that. We used to have the snipers climbing up really big hills and sniping 1.5 kilometers away, and now that's not happening so much. So it's a good thing. Bugs with small rocks and small dumps and things like that. And we had bugs with people getting stuck before. It's just a bit worse now, and hopefully all of them will be smoothed out.
No, I agree. I like that statement of basically some mechs can't and some mechs can. And I mean, that's the benefit of taking that particular chassis too. I think that's a fair statement. So
definitely the movement behavior is a interesting and refreshing system, but it's definitely something that still needs to have bugs and tweaks done to it.
I think another thing is the fact that we're not used to it yet. It just came out. And you can imagine if we'd have had Host Day Rewind and all these systems that came in afterward in closed beta, we'd been playing it for a year, we'd be used to them. And everything takes, a good amount of time to get used to. And so if after you play so many times on, Canyon Network, you know where you can or can't go. So you don't try to go up there because you know you can't and you don't get stuck and stuff like that. I think that's a big thing that, things just take time. But anyways, guys, we're going to move on here. Big news, obviously, is the test server comes out. We've got the link directly to the facts. Go download it if you have not done so already, or if you're like me, I'm still downloading it because everyone and their mother is downloading it. But the playtest starts tomorrow. Looks like 12v12, so make sure to go ahead and download that. It is a different client. It looks like what they were saying is in the future that client may be a part of the regular client, so keep both. Anyways, so go check that out. And of course, with that comes the lava map as well. So, tomorrow's going to be a fun day. So for those that can be here, I think it starts out, what time is it?
12 PDT.
12 PDT, there you go.
PSG,
Whichever floats your boat. But yeah, the download's taken forever. I think it's, when I first started, it was estimated like 4 hours. So
I finished ages ago.
Jeez, not me. I was gonna say, for those that are on like a huge connection, I envy you. We have also got the Victor Early Bird Special came out. That basically they were saying, hey, if you want to use the other Victors, here you go, the MC versions. I thought they were probably gonna do this. I think maybe the Highlander was sort of a test bed for this, but it's basically saying like, hey, the Victors are ready to go. You can use them now early. You just pay MC. As far as like a marketing thing. Go ahead.
MC for a week early is basically what it is.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, hey, I think we've all stated they've got to have money making marketing. If you don't want or don't have the money to spend, don't do it. Just wait a week. It'll be out on the 16th, I think they said. It's
so not pay to win that it hurts, basically.
So some people
financial responsibility.
Yeah,
no, never.
Because that is not a thing I think this community really understands.
All I gotta say is, if you go out and you buy the Victors with MC, and then you complain about the sale. Now, we did have some community questions, but a lot of them were directed towards like game design questions that Paul and Brian would be able to answer. So when we have them on the show, I'm going to try to get them on next Wednesday. I'll let you guys know. But that would be a good time to answer those because, of course, Garth just can't answer them, or he can at least try to find the answers, and, of course, me and Daeron can't answer them, or any of the crew. We can speculate, and we can ask you guys what your thoughts are, and that's what we're trying to do, is get your guys' opinions on what's going on in the game. Obviously, there are, some things that are hot topics. We did have one thing that I did want to cover, which was for MechWarrior Tactics. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but Angry Joe played Total Biscuit for some MechWarrior Tactics action. It was on Twitch TV yesterday. I was watching it for a little bit, then I had some other things to go. We've got their videos are up on YouTube, so you can watch it, and I actually need to watch it. But I posted that stuff up on our website at the NGNG forums. Check it out. But Angry Joe, Angry Joe reserves there. I love Angry Joe. I think he's hilarious. I don't know. Well, apparently, like, Angry Joe was new and customized his mechs, and Total Biscuit didn't. And so, like, Total Biscuit was like, "You freaking cheater," and Angry Joe was like, "Shut the fuck up! Don't." He was like, Anyways, it was just freaking hilarious. So I need to watch the whole thing. But I love Angry Joe. I love watching his YouTube videos, and of course, I enjoyed TB because he just says what it is, and it's pretty blunt about it, and I enjoy that. So make sure to check that out. And with that being said, they have a founders update, and we've got a link to their forums. Basically, if you were already a founder, you can update your founder, including some of the specialized content. We've got a link there. I think there it goes, link there for you. Now, I think we are trying to plan some more tactics action on Twitch. So I really enjoyed it when I played. We've talked about the art aesthetics, and we've had the art director on and talked about that. And, when you're playing, though, and Daeron pipe in here, when you're playing, it didn't really matter to me. Like, I just enjoyed it for what it was.
Didn't think about... Once we started playing, all I cared about was beating you and having fun with my mechs.
Isn't that all that's important?
Of
course.
But...
like looking at the damage received, and oh shit, I just lost an arm, or I enjoyed that.
Playing that game sucked me straight into the to the tabletop experience, to Mega Mech. I just had a blast. I think it's going to be a great game. I think the art style is just a very small aspect to it.
And obviously, they're working behind the scenes, getting a lot more updates, and we'll let you guys know as soon as possible when we get stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I do think they can take the game a step further. I think let's go past this whole 1v1 thing. I would love to be able to play with Daeron against AI, or with Daeron against Brandon and Boo or Laura. Like, that's what I want to do, is not just simple lance v lance. I think it'd be great to have more. Now, granted, the it is a browser-based game. It is Unity. I don't know if there's any limitation bandwidth issues, but if anything, it would scale. So hopefully that would happen. I want big maps. I agree. I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more grand scale on it. But that being said, for what it is right now, I am enjoying it. So if you haven't, make sure to check it out. And of course, don't forget the Catalyst Game Lab sponsorship giveaway, week 9. We've got the Hex Pack Cities and Roads. Make sure to head over to our forums. All you have to do is register and post up what your favorite battle mech weapon system is for this week. Again, congratulations for the guy who won the BattleTech introductory box set. That'll be going in the mail as soon as I get your info. Already emailed you. Congratulations again. And of course, make sure to check out the faction t-shirts for all those guys. I know I'm going to be getting a Davion or two. Maybe even the FR, just because I think it looks cool. I don't know.
What do you mean, because it's amazing?
It is pretty cool looking. I would say out of them, the FRR one is it's up there. It looks cool.
The one you should buy 10 of. Please do.
And I know a lot of people are out there like, oh, clans or merc and stuff. Hey, we got to get through. We got to get through these. Hey, and they gotta,
Well, hey, what shirt needs the most love right now? Who do we need? We need whatever army to rise up and order shirts so we can get a certain faction.
I'm actually surprised. Well, I don't know, but word of Lotax being Liao, we've had no Liao pre-sales, none whatsoever. Maybe that's it. Maybe I didn't get enough.
Maybe you just needed to put a $10 bill on it.
I don't know, but hey, if you like these, again, for those that have gotten shirts, they are great quality, especially these 50/50 polycotton. So if you like that, make sure to check those out. And we're gonna be pushing it for the entire week. So yes,
they are.
Nice. And of course, Facebook, we're up to 4,086 people, growing every day. Our YouTube channel is almost up to 4,000 people. So if you haven't, and if you like YouTube content, which by the way, I have new content to post on our YouTube channel, but for some odd reason, YouTube is having
being a jerk.
Yeah, YouTube is having a little bit of a monetization issue and all that fun stuff. It happens every month, it seems. So I've got like literally 7 videos ready to go. But we're just waiting on a few things. Actually, one's still processing, so YouTube needs to get their shit together.
It feels like Microsoft bought YouTube and Twitch TV because they're both breaking constantly.
Oh, he did it. He did it. He said it. And of course, make sure to check out our Twitch TV. We've got NGNG TV. Again, we had Ed Meester who joined us, and of course, Malis. They're doing a great job. Hey, and if you are a streamer out there, make sure to contact us. Again, we're always looking for more streamers. I think we're going to be looking at a few more time zones early in the morning. But yeah, we'll check out your channel. You can post on our forums if you're interested in stuff like that. Yes. It is actually owned by Google. He was making a pun at Microsoft of failing at life. But that's all. And of course, thank you to everyone, our community, our staff members for supporting us. And thank you guys for showing up for this podcast. We enjoy the discussion. And I think it's one of those things that needs to be done. We need to have that group discussion, level-headed discussion. What is going on in the community? And specifically, if it has to do with MWO, what is going on with MWO? I think it is moving forward in a positive note. I think there are some issues that do need to be looked at. But I think everyone here can agree, having an adult conversation about it. And then obviously getting the feedback from the devs directly, which hopefully we can do next week or the week after, depending when they're ready to sit down and talk about it, is a good thing. And, they are out there, they are listening, and, they are human beings, so they only have X amount of time in the day. So don't be too cynical. Actually, don't be cynical. Don't be a douche. Just don't do it. Don't be a douche. No, just don't be a douche.
Be all rainbows and unicorns like Phil and myself.
Freaking rainbows and unicorns. No. Charlie.
That was for you, by the way, Santa.
Anyways, guys, this has been your local No Guts, No Galaxy MechWarrior podcast. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show. This is Phil.
And this is Daeron.
This is Brandon, also known as Catrick Hell.
This is Laura.
Until next time, Mech Warriors.